Have you ever bonked in a race and you have no idea why? Well, as soon as I get done with this run, we'll head over to the table and talk about it. Stupid airplane. So you can probably run a half marathon at a great pace and not carry anything, maybe just like a handheld bottle, and likely pass every aid station and do quite well on just this. But I bet that you probably wouldn't be able to do the same thing with a 50K or probably even a 100K or 100 miler. So I've been running for about 12 years now. I've won and done really well in some races, and I haven't done so well in many more. But it's been my experience that bonking, that sluggish, I'm going to quit feeling, is caused by food and hydration, or the lack thereof. And I think it has a lot to do with before the race, so the days leading up, maybe even like months leading up, but more so during the race. It took me, so I said I've been running for about 12 years now and racing the same amount of time. It took me many years. It probably wasn't, maybe, I guess, 3 or 4 years ago that I kind of like learned a scientific fact that the runner's body prefers carbohydrates to operate. And once I learned that, it was a complete game changer. I've been at races where these people are scared of, I've even been on training runs where I meet people that are scared of carbs. And you ask them, say, so what have you ate during this race? They're 30 miles in and feeling like crap. And they say, well, I've had some beef jerky, or I've had some bacon, or I've been eating cheeseburgers. These things are low in carbs. They're extremely high in fat and high in protein, which I'm not saying protein or fat are bad, but when it comes to racing, you need things that are easily digestible, and it's no secret that meat is very slow to digest, and that's, if you got foods that are slow to digest, it's a really easy way to drive yourself right into a carbohydrate deficit, and then the inevitable bonk. Get out here, yellow jacket. Not everything works for everyone, but what we're going to talk about is it's really worked for me, and I'm going to share some of the foods that I eat leading up to a race. So actually, what I eat every day, and then what I eat during the race, whether it be a short race or a long race, and some of the things that I do during my training runs. So what I eat on a daily basis. I'll talk about that first, and then we'll talk about what I eat in my races and in my training. So for breakfast, nearly every morning, I kind of have the same thing. I eat this huge bowl of quick oats, and when I say huge bowl, it's 1 cup of dry oats, and then I've got one of those little water heaters that I boil some water in, then I pour it in over that oats, and then let it kind of absorb all that water and turn into a kind of a slurry in a way. And then I got frozen blueberries. I put those in there, but I take some of that hot water and pour over the blueberries in a cup, and then kind of strain them out and put the blueberries. I don't want frozen blueberries in my oatmeal. Then I put probably about a 1/4 cup or so of walnuts, crush those up in it, and then a banana, and then sometimes I'll put a little bit of soy or almond milk in it if it's too thick, because if you know anything about oatmeal, it'll set up like concrete on you. But I'll put that kind of like that recipe. It's not really a recipe, but I'll put that in the description. And with that oatmeal, I'll usually have some orange juice, and I dilute the orange juice like 50% water or so, because I'm just not really that good with a lot of sugar. Kind of makes me sick. And then usually with that, I'll have a cup of decaf coffee, which is what I have right now. And I drink decaf all the time, so I don't normally drink caffeinated coffee. The only time I drink caffeinated coffee is I didn't know it was caffeinated, and shortly after, shortly after I drink it, I'll know it's caffeinated because I start getting real jittery.
Oh, it's awful.
You don't like it?
I'm all jittery and feel like I got a big job coming on.
It starts affecting my heart. So I don't know if I have like just kind of like this weird reaction to caffeine, but my my body just doesn't like it. So, and it hurts my sleep big time. So anyway, I stay away from caffeine. And but now, however, during ultras, so if I'm doing like a 50 mile or more, or like a 24-hour challenge, I will eat some gels that have caffeine, and it, you talk about it really boosts you because I'm not used to caffeine, kind of like a person that doesn't drink alcohol, which I don't. If I was to drink just a little bit of alcohol, I'd be trashed. So it really has a magnified effect on me. So for lunch, I usually do a spinach hummus sandwich, and I usually eat that with a few slices of avocado on that, and the bread is whole wheat bread. And then I'll have some fruit with that, and maybe some sweet tea. But even with the sweet tea, I'll dilute it to like 50, 60% with water. So as far as dinner, usually my breakfast and my lunch are like pretty much the same every day. But dinners is where it varies a little bit. I cook a lot at home. I usually make like a 4 or 6 hour chili. I let it slowly simmer for 6 or like 6 hours. Usually I'll cook that on Fridays or something, so we'll eat on that. So Friday and Saturday, and then sometimes I'll make a vegetable soup. That's a slow simmer soup. I really like to let things cook slowly. And if I'm not making a soup or a chili, then other nights I'll have some like grilled veggie burritos that I make. I really like those. They're probably not extremely healthy, but just because I grill them in some veggie butter. And then I'm kind of a big fan of the different veggie burgers. I probably have like 5 or 6 different brands, or not really brands, but different types of veggie burgers that I like. And I'll have those with some tater tots or some crinkle cut fries, and I'll bake those. So, but occasionally I'll have a wood-fired pizza. Okay, so that is like what I do for my daily routine of just eating. What I'll talk about now is what I do for my training runs. So on a typical training run, and we'll just kind of like talk about. So like for like less than 6 miles, I just have a water bottle. I usually don't take anything to eat with me. That's if I'm running 5 or 6 miles around the house in my neighborhood. If I'm going to do a longer training run, so if I'm going like one of the local places I run, it's Powell Butte, or if I'm going up around Hood or somewhere like that, I'm definitely going to take food with me. And the food that I take with me is going to be high in carbs. It's not going to have a whole lot of protein or fat in it. And one of my things that I really like in my training runs is these Nature's Bakery. They call them fig bars, but I guess they do have, I got fig paste in them, but these are strawberry. I like these. I even got blueberry ones. I think they make them in different flavors, but they're kind of all natural. Nothing in here really. You can pronounce everything in the ingredients. That kind of makes me feel good. They're not organic, but they're still really good. Non-GMO. But these are these are 200 calories for one package. So in my opinion, these are quite a bit better than gels because they're real food and they're whole wheat. and they at least for me, they digest really easy, and I can eat these while I'm in the middle of a race. You know, I'm actually running, so I can eat these and actually get them down, and they digest really quick. So, and then one of the other things that I eat is, and my wife just started buying these for me, is these same brand, Nature's Bakery oatmeal crumble apple, and it's basically an apple pie in a package. These are pretty good too. It doesn't pack as many calories, I don't think, and it's 140 calories. I guess you'd have to do the math and see what it is per calories per ounce. But anyway, these are good for me. They've really worked for me, and some of the other things that I do on my training runs is I eat these Huma gels. I'm not sponsored by them, but I wish I was. But um, I've been eating these for a long time now, probably a couple of years, and I tell you what, these are the best gels. I've tried Goo and Hammer Nutrition, whatever Hammer's gels are, and some others, and they just make me sick. But these are really good. The ingredients are very simple: strawberry puree, cane sugar, brown rice syrup, chia seeds, and strawberry concentrate, sea salt, citric acid. So it's very simple, and they actually taste like real food. So, and then I like these cafe mocha ones for later in the race, especially on the longer distance ultras. These they say 2x caffeine. I don't know what 2x caffeine is. I'd have to look and see. Oh, it's 50 milligrams of caffeine. So if I take one of these, I'm really jittery. So it really like puts me in overdrive. But that's kind of I do the same thing in a race. So if I'm doing a 50K, this is what I'm going to have is the gels and these things, and I'll just put a couple gels and maybe one of these in the front of my vest. But I'm one of those people that I believe in eating during the race and having a kind of like a time frame to eat on, and that's I have my watch set to tell me every mile, actually it's every 1.1 miles to drink, and then every 200 calories that I burn, it'll let me know, so I know to take in. I try to take in like 50% of what I'm burning. So if I'm burning 200 calories, I'll try to eat. I'll eat one of these and then fold it up and put it back in my vest. So I mentioned that my watch is set to remind me every 1.1 miles to take a drink, and the reason I have it set to 1.1 miles is because my mileage report, my average pace and all that comes up at 1 mile, and I don't want to forget to take a drink. So as soon as my report goes away, almost right after that, I'm getting the reminder to drink. If I'm training somewhere where, kind of like at Powell Butte, that I can do a 10-mile loop or something and come back around to my vehicle, it's noisy out here. If I can come back around to my vehicle, then I'll have stuff in my truck like those small round potatoes that you can get and steam them. So I'll steam a bag of those before I leave the house. Take those with me, and I'll take some bananas. And when I come to the truck, I can fill up my water or my water bottles, and then eat a banana and some of those potatoes. So speaking of filling up water bottles. I'll want to talk about some of the hydration mix that I use, and one of them is gnarly, and I'll put all these in the description. Well, I'll say all these, but I've got two here. I'll put them in the description. Gnarly, I didn't know about gnarly until last year. I think it was last year when I was getting ready to do Zion 100. A couple months before the race, I found out what they would be offering, and it was gnarly. I'd never heard of it. So kind of a funny story about it is I went ahead and ordered some from Amazon and started drinking it, and for some reason it was given. I thought it was it contains magnesium, not very, yeah, I guess it's 90 milligrams of magnesium. I thought that was giving me the craps, and turned out that it wasn't. So I learned that by me eating a large bowl of oatmeal right before a training run or a race, it gives me the runner's trots. So I'll talk about how I fixed that in a minute. But the gnarly, they do make this in packets. This is a bag of just a bag of powder, and it's not necessarily the cheapest stuff in the world, but it's affordable. I don't remember exactly how much I paid for this. I'll stick it in the description. But the other thing that I really like is liquid IV, and I don't hear too much about this in the runner circle, but packets are really good for race day, especially if the race is having something that you don't like. You can, put these in your drop bags or carry a few of these on you. It does make, in a race, it kind of sucks that if you have to tear these open and try to put in your own water bottle. Hopefully you have a crew to do that for you. But the reason that I like these two is because the sodium is not like extremely outrageous, but they contain a lot of other vitamins and minerals in them, and the potassium is quite high compared to the sodium ratio. So it's like the potassium for this one is nearly 50% of the sodium, and same thing, this one's actually a little more than 50% of the sodium. Anyway, those two I like. I also like Scratch and Tailwind, but Tailwind's probably Hammer Nutrition's at the very end of my list, and then Tailwind is, did I say it right? Hammer's at the very end, and Tailwind is a runner-up to the very end. So probably goes, my top pick would probably be Gnarly, and then Liquid IV, and then Scratch. But like I said, I'll put an Amazon link in the description. I'm not sponsored by any of these places. Wish I was, but you got to do a whole lot better than I do to get sponsors. So, all right, so I want to talk about big races. So I'll give an example of what I did for Zion last year, and which I could not have done, and I couldn't have done as well as I did. Not that I did great, but I think I got 45th place out of 250 people or something like that, which is not bad for my first 100-miler. But I couldn't have done it without the incredible help of my wife. I mean, she was a godsend. And I don't know how people run. I don't know how people can do a 100-miler without a crew. So the 100-miler was no different. I started off my breakfast with an everything bagel with a little bit of peanut butter on it, and I ate, I think, a banana. So that's pretty much what I do for race day. It's kind of the same thing all the time, because the everything bagel is and the peanut butter is going to give me calories slowly, especially at the beginning of the race, especially for like a 100-miler or something. I'm not trying to go really fast, especially in the beginning. But that'd be my breakfast, and then along the way at every crew station, my wife would meet me, and she has this immersion blender, and we have a receptacle in the truck, and she just plugged that in and make me a smoothie. And the smoothie would have it was almond milk, frozen blueberries, banana, some oats, quick oats, and I was thinking there was something else in it. But anyway, she'd blend that up, and she would do it right before because she would track me, and she'd know when I was getting ready to get there. So just a few minutes before I'd roll in, she would have that thing ready for me. Excuse me. And I tell you what, those things are just amazing. They make me feel like Superman. I drink that, and I was just ready to go again. I don't know like what it is about it. Maybe it's the banana and the blueberries and all of those. What do you call it? The antioxidants or something in it. I don't know. But she would make that, and then she would give me a whole wheat avocado sandwich. So kind of really simple, but I know you're probably thinking, hey, that's not really a lot of carbs. In the smoothie, there's quite a few carbs in it to give me some energy right up front. But the avocado sandwich is more for like give me that energy down the road, so half an hour to an hour from now. And then, of course, along the way, I've got all these things in my gels that I do. One of the big things is when you come into the aid station or your crew station, you need to get away from eating gels or these fig bark, these kind of snacks. You need some real food, especially if you're doing a 100-miler. It's for me, it made all the difference. Because you're thinking if I have to eat one more of these, I'm gonna throw up. And then you come into the crew station and your crew, in my case, my wife has something, wonderful for me. So that's kind of like my routine. So I covered what I do on a daily basis, what I do pre-run. I try to train and race the same. So whatever I'm eating and training, I'm doing the same thing in racing. I don't want to try something new in racing because that's very dangerous, especially early in the race. So if you're doing a 100-miler, whatever you do, don't do anything new for the first 75 miles. It never fails when I'm trying to do a video of the dogs or the airplane. Because of the tractors and the airplanes and the cars. But whatever you do, don't do anything new in the race. Maybe the last 25 miles of a 100-miler you could get away with it. I mean, I did it at Zion. I don't normally eat, dairy stuff, and I actually ended up eating some quesadillas that they had, and they were really good. And I did it at a couple different aid stations. So kudos to the race director and all the volunteers at Zion for making quesadillas. They hit the spot. Didn't make me sick. I was good with it. There's some things that I would not do. For me personally, I wouldn't do. Like at the KT 50K last year, they were offering, out of all things, they were offering shots of whiskey at one of the aid stations. So I don't drink alcohol, but even if I did, I probably wouldn't have done that. So, but I know that since I don't drink alcohol, that would have not only made me drunk, but I probably would have been puking. And I already had enough issues in that race as it was that were not necessarily related to nutrition, maybe to hydration. I could have drank more, but anyway, that's kind of what I do, on a day-to-day basis, and what I do in training, and what I do in racing. I've probably already said that. I probably repeated myself a bunch on this, but I just recommend that if you're not making carbs like 50 to 60% of your diet, consider it. If you're on an all-meat diet, consider switching. Now, I don't recommend switching like weeks before a race. Make this a 6-month or 3-month process, and several months prior to a race, so you can really test it out and make sure it's going to work for you. But once I figured it out, several years ago, it really changed things for me. I'll leave a couple sources in the description. One of them is from Cleveland Clinic, and it's an article talking about the benefits of how your benefits of carbohydrates versus fat and protein. And another one is a book called The Plant-Based Athlete. Not to the point of trying to be a plant-based athlete. I mean, the book is about plant-based athlete, but I'm not recommending it because of that. I'm just recommending it because it goes into the whole carbs, debate with fat and protein. Because there's some runners that they do really well on nothing but bacon and cheeseburgers, but I think they would probably even do a whole lot better if they switched over to a carb-based diet. Anyway, and then one of the other things I'll put down in the description is a movie I recently watched called The Game Changers, and it's about high carb vegan diet, but you can get some of the information from it about switching to a high carb diet. Let me know your thoughts on this. I know that everything doesn't work for everyone, and there's no one like cure for everything, but this is what worked for me, and a lot of people I know it works for them really good, really well. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Stay epic.